Imagine someone dies right now. The heart stops. Breathing ends. Everything becomes silent. But here's the terrifying truth. The body doesn't stop immediately. In the first minute, the brain begins to change. In the first hour, the body starts cooling down. Within 6 hours, the muscles begin to lock. And after a few days, the body enters a process so natural yet so shocking that most people don't even want to talk about it. Today, we're going to follow the human body step by step, from the first seconds after death to 2 weeks later. And trust me, some of these stages will change the way you look at death forever. Before we begin, if you enjoy real facts, dark mysteries, and documentaries that make you think, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next videos are even darker. Death is something every human being shares, but most people don't know what happens after the final breath. And no, death isn't just one moment. It's a chain of biological events. And what makes this topic so disturbing is that these changes happen in almost the same order for every human being. However, the speed depends on things like temperature, humidity, whether the body is indoors or outdoors, and the environment around it. So now, let's begin with the very first stage. Death is something that happens to every human being, but most people don't actually know what happens to the body after the final breath. And what's interesting is this. Death is not just one moment. It's a chain of biological events that begins instantly. And the strangest part? These changes happen in almost the same order for every human. But the speed depends on temperature, humidity, whether the body is indoors or outdoors, and the environment around it. Within the first minute, consciousness is gone in most cases. And this is where things get mysterious. Many people who survived clinical death later reported strange experiences. Hearing voices, seeing an intense light, feeling like they were floating above their own body. Science explains this as the brain's reaction to extreme oxygen loss. But the question remains, is it just chemistry, or is it something we still don't understand? Keep that thought. We'll return to it at the end. Now we enter one of the most critical stages. Between 2 and 5 minutes after death, brain cells begin dying rapidly. This is why paramedics treat time like an enemy. Because every minute without oxygen reduces the chance of recovery and increases the risk of permanent brain damage. During this period, the body enters complete stillness. The heart is stopped, breathing is stopped, blood is no longer moving, muscles begin to fully relax. And here's a detail that might shock you. In some cases, air trapped in the lungs may escape, producing a sound, almost like a final breath. This does not mean the person came back to life. It's simply air leaving the body after the muscles relax. But imagine seeing that for the first time. It's easy to understand why humans have feared death for thousands of years. Now the body begins cooling down. This stage is called augor mortis, body cooling. In life, the body generates heat through blood circulation, muscle activity, metabolism, but after death, the body slowly matches the temperature of the room. If the environment is cold, this happens faster. If it's warm, it happens slower. Now we reach a stage many people recognize from documentaries. Rigor mortis, stiffness. During rigor mortis, muscles begin to stiffen. The body becomes harder to move. The reason is that the chemical energy that keeps muscles relaxed disappears. It usually starts in smaller muscles first. The jaw, the neck, the hands, then spreads to the chest and legs. In horror movies, it looks terrifying. But in reality, it's simply biology, a natural stage of the body's timeline after death. Now another important stage begins. Livor mortis, blood settling. Because blood is no longer circulating, gravity pulls it downward. The lower parts of the body begin changing color. Dark red, purple, bluish tones. This stage is extremely important in forensic science because it helps determine how long ago the person died and whether the body was moved after death. Now we enter the stage people rarely talk about, autolysis, breakdown from the inside. Decomposition does not begin from the outside. It begins from within. Inside the human body, there are natural bacteria, enzymes. In life, the immune system controls them. But after death, there are no defenses. So the body begins breaking itself down from the inside. It sounds disturbing, but it's simply nature. The body begins to undo itself. After 24 to 48 hours, changes become more noticeable. The abdomen begins to swell. Facial features may shift. strong odors begin to form. The reason is gas buildup. The body produces gases like methane, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide. These gases collect inside, causing bloating. And here's a shocking truth. Bloating is not a sign of life. It's simply internal pressure. At this stage, decomposition becomes more advanced. Skin may loosen in certain areas. The body's color continues changing. And now we reach something that terrified people for centuries. Post-mortem movements. In rare cases, a body may move slightly. This does not mean the person is alive. It can happen because gas pressure shifting inside the body, muscle contractions, changes in body position. Long ago, people saw this and believed the dead were returning. This is part of how myths were born. Zombies, vampires, and restless spirits. After 1 week, decomposition becomes intense, but this is where the environment matters most. In high heat, decomposition accelerates quickly. In cold environments, it slows down. This is why bodies in cold places can remain preserved for longer. After 2 weeks, the body enters an advanced stage of breakdown. And now factors become even more important. Heat, moisture, exposure. A body exposed in a hot environment will change far faster than one kept cold and dry. Now we reach the question that has haunted humans since the beginning of time. Is the brain still aware after death? Some research suggests the brain may show brief activity after the heart stops. And many people who survived near-death experiences describe similar events. But science still doesn't have a final answer about consciousness. That's why death remains the greatest mystery, not because of what happens to the body, but because of what might happen to the mind. If you made it this far, you're definitely the kind of person who loves deep, dark topics. Subscribe now, because the next video will be even more intense. What the brain might experience in the final 5 minutes before death. So what did we learn? Death is not a single moment. It's a timeline, a process that begins instantly and continues for days. The heart stops, oxygen disappears, the body cools, muscles stiffen, blood settles, decomposition begins, and nature slowly takes back what it gave. It may sound frightening, but it's the natural truth waiting for every living thing. Now I want to ask you something. Which stage shocked you the most? Rigor mortis, blood settling, breakdown from the inside. Write your answer in the comments. And if you want a part 2 about what different cultures and religions believe happens to the soul after death. Thanks for watching. If you want more real facts, mysteries, and dark documentary videos, make sure you subscribe, because what's coming next is deeper and darker.